On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, Dylan, we're previewing and predicting the University of Louisiana Monroe versus number one Texas. Longhorns fans, don't forget to like and subscribe. As always, it's greatly appreciated. And check us out at HornSports.com for all the latest in Texas news. Now, Dylan, I'm not going to lie, it's been some time since anyone has been able to say that the Longhorns are the top-rated and ranked team in the country, I believe since 2008, which, guys, has been a long time. So, in this one, Dylan, the matchup is Saturday, the 21st at 7 p.m. Central Time at Darrell K. Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. The details haven't changed. It will be televised, wait for it, on ESPN Plus / SEC Network Plus. Something just doesn't sound right there. Texas is favored by 44.5 points. Now, Dylan, with all that being said, what do you think of the ULM defense in your scouting report?
Well, Devon, they've actually played very well to start the season, if I'm being honest. They beat Jackson State, right? Obviously, not an FBS opponent, but they beat them 30-14, forced 2 fumbles and an interception. And then after that game, they took on Trent Dilfer's UAB and beat them 32-6 with another 2 fumbles forced and an interception. So they've been able to really take the ball away in these first 2 games, beating their opponents pretty handedly, as well as Devon. They are right now ranked as the number 21 run defense in the country, right? So again, they've only played the opponents they've got, right? So we can't hate on that, but they've played very well, and it's been led by Billy Poland. Devon, he is a hybrid defensive lineman and edge rusher, mostly playing outside linebacker, right? He's 6'3", 245. He's got 3 sacks on the season. He leads the team with 4 tackles for loss, with 12 total tackles and a forced fumble. So expect to see him being used in multiple ways to try to get at Arch, depending if Manning is starting going into this game. But he's somebody to highlight, as well as another linebacker on the inside, Carl Glass Jr. He leads the team with 21 tackles and a forced fumble. He's going to be somebody as well that they're going to have watching and being the mic for Manning for most of the game, just with how, he is able to extend plays and scramble and have just designed runs in general that Sark has been drawing up. And then on the outside, Devon, in the secondary, they've got strong safety Wydett Williams, who's got 19 tackles on the season, and cornerback Carlin Vigers, who's also got an interception as well with Williams. So secondary, it's been untested in their past matchups. I mean, this obviously, right, they're going up against one of the best offenses in the country with Texas. So we're going to see what they're capable of. But that's the big part of their team, as well as their defensive line. Devon, they have 2 total sacks on the season. And again, they've only allowed 75.5 rush yards per game. So look out for guys like Dylan Howell, Jalen War, and Cavante Wells up front. Just with how they've been performing this year, they've been impressive with the teams they've played.
Dylan, offensively, I know we usually have some fun names, but oh boy, ULM has a lot of fun names. And it starts with the Oklahoma transfer. So if you Texas fans needed any more reason to get loud on Saturday, the Oklahoma transfer at quarterback, redshirt junior, General Booty, Dylan, from the great state of Texas, has made his way now to 3 states that are all next to each other. You got Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. His top 2 targets. Now, Dylan, I know I'm the NIL guy in terms of making nicknames, but we have 6'3" junior Javon Campbell, and then we have 5'10" senior Davon Wells. I'm feeling a Davon sort of scenario going on Saturday.
TV show right there.
It sounds like it could be comedic gold. Hopefully for Longhorns fans, it's not too much of a drama. You want to keep that stuff off the field. But an interesting duo for ULM. Of course, Campbell, as I mentioned, being 6'3", just Texas receivers, or DBs, Dylan, in general. I don't trust them when you get 6'3" receivers. However, this year's been pretty solid if you're a Longhorns fan. I'd be a little shocked. Now, Dylan, I see you're laughing over there. I'm going to continue on like I don't see that. At running back, you have a trio of guys for the Warhawks. You have freshman Ahmad Hardy. We've lost Dylan. Freshman Ahmad Hardy. I'm going to not even look at him on the screen because he's dying over there. Junior James Jones. If you are a Packers fan, it's not the same guy. And Junior Taven Curry. So we got Devon or Davon and Javon, and we have Taven. So we got a lot of ins in this lineup, and they've all received a fair share of snaps at the running back position. But overall, guys, offensively, while Dylan is, I'm just going to solo screen myself here. Overall, offensively for ULM has not been too impressive numbers-wise. They are 2-0, led by head coach Bryant Vincent, and that's a solid standing. And they are in the Sun Belt Conference, if you're not aware, the Fun Belt, as we like to say here. But just overall, nothing too crazy for this team so far. As Dylan said, the opponents have not been insane, but the same can be said for Texas other than Michigan. So all things being equal, I guess we'll see on Saturday, Dylan, how it all plays out. Now, X factors, Dylan, lead us off here.
Yeah, Devin, I don't know if I can compete with all the hand movement that you were doing just to get those names out, but sorry, I was dying, and I appreciate the shout out for Michigan. They still are a good team that was on Texas's schedule. You can still say that, depending on this USC matchup coming up on Saturday. But to get to the X factors when it comes to the game that matters right now, Texas versus ULM, I've got taking away the Arch Manning RPO going into this game, Devin. I'm going to be highlighting Carl Glass at middle linebacker. He's going to have the game of his life. Because if there's one thing that Texas did not do against UTSA, it's fully open up that playbook for Manning, right? So depending on yours availability, likely Manning's going to be getting the start, right? So we'll see how comfortable Sark is letting Manning just throw the ball, right? Be able to design his own plays and not have such scripted looks and going off of the first reads. And obviously Ryan Wingo having some busted coverage that really helped. But Arch Manning still has improvement or ways to improve there. And it's going to start with passing the ball. And for ULM, they're going to have to take away that option for him to run, even though he's apparently faster than Tyreek Hill now, Devin. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Can we
Carl
talk
Glass up
about
in the
that?
middle. Those linebackers, there'd be something to watch out for. But yeah, he clocked in faster than Tyreek Hill
All of
on that run.
last year, correct? I think it
It was this year so far.
this year so far. Okay, yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
was Arch versus Tyreek, and somehow Arch was faster. And
Hey,
I forgot who posted that, but I had to double check to make sure I wasn't being trolled. But yes, he's got wheels. But Dylan, sorry to cut you off. Did you have more?
no, that's it. But again, for the Warhawks to be able to stay in this game, they got to take away that run for Manning and the running backs in general. Because if not, it's going to be even more of a bloodbath, similar to what we've seen the past few games of Texas to start the season.
Yeah, in the press conference, Dylan, after last Saturday's game against UTSA, Steve Sarkisian did mention, which he's mentioned in the past, but it was worth reiterating, that players going into the game, whether it be backup quarterback, third string quarterback, or the starter, of course, Dylan, they all list out their favorite plays that they're comfortable running. And as we saw last Saturday against UTSA, a lot of those plays did have a run element for Arch. Of course, he had a big gallop scamper, if you will, Dylan, to the end zone. So you can see that Arch likes a little bit more utilizing, his mobility versus Quinn, more so staged in the pocket. Now, I think if I'd have to guess, I would say, as Dylan I think was kind of alluding to, I think Sarkisian likes their quarterback being more stationary and more NFL style quarterback, if you will. However, Arch provides a different element that defenses have to account for. Now, with that being said, Dylan, I agree. I think Arch Manning is the X factor here. He had a great 5-touchdown game against UTSA. And Dylan, there's really nothing, there's small things you can take away, but nothing big that you can say, he didn't do well. Now, it's a different story heading into a game that you are the starting quarterback for. Now the expectations are there, and the weight of the world, Dylan, the college football world,
Oh,
literally, Texas is usually not a well-liked team outside of the state of Texas. I know all the people that are supporting the Horns outside the state, sure, but a lot of hatred does pour on the Longhorns. It's on his shoulders to really just kind of shake that off, Dylan, if you will. But I
yeah.
think Arch in this game, he's got the toys to play with. Wingo being one of them, who had a big game, led the team in receiving yards last weekend. With the running backs just being injured as they have been doing, and health not being a great thing in that position, you're going to assume that they're going to throw the ball quite often on Saturday against ULM. So if he stays turnover free, things are good. If not, who knows, Dylan? You don't want to see a home upset loss, but it could at least be closer than that
Hey,
44.5 point margin that is the Vegas odds.
you got to be careful. The Sun Belt is called the Fun Belt for a reason, Devin. You can't be sleeping on teams like the Warhawks because, again, it's still a stingy team and they're pretty well coached. So I wouldn't expect this to be easy in the sense of this is not a UTSA team that was trying to get things together. That the Warhawks have been building up to this point this season and have looked good.
I thought you were going more. I solo screened you, but yes.
Do you want more? Do you want 90 minutes of why they're going to win this game and Texas is going to be crying and going, why are we the number one seed and now it's all gone?
If you want that version of the video, guys, just check out the Michigan video where he was doing that.
Subscribe to our Patreon account. You got to pay $5 a month for that type of content.
There we go. Now, oh my gosh. Moving on to danger level because Dylan is just kind of shaking this video up in all places. Dylan, how are you feeling about this? Does it get another one from you?
Yes, I got another one. Texas again. They've looked the entire part, right? The level of competition is questionable right now. I think it's just going to take a bit of time for Michigan to look really good on that, on
Can
that
you stop
schedule in
bringing
terms
them
of
up?
the wins. But as of right now, Texas has not entered SEC play. But outside of that, they've been just taking care of business, Devin. And I expect the same thing against Louisiana Monroe in terms of how this defense has looked for Texas. I don't really see General Booty being able to get more than 200 yards passing in this matchup, as well as Arch Manning's. And that's the thing, Devin. I feel like if you put us out there with the offensive line Texas has and the weapons, I think we could get a yard before we get sacked and we're out for the rest of the year, right? But
I'd
I
give us a
think
yard.
with
Yeah.
these weapons,
I mean, come
yeah,
on. I thought you were going to say like 100 yards. I think with the weapons you have, just throw it up as soon as the ball
yeah,
snapped. I think we get 100. But
they'd make it look like I could get a scholarship.
I'm
I see no
sure
reason.
I'm sure if we asked Sarkisian, he would say otherwise. But in my mind, I think we could do it. But anyway, danger level
Mm.
not too high. Dylan, myself, I got a 1 here. ULM is 2-0, as Dylan was mentioning, so they have wins or a quality team for that Fun Belt, if you will. However, the wins so far are against Jackson State and UAB. Nothing too crazy there. Of course, though, as I mentioned earlier as well, I know I'm throwing all these at you guys. Texas, other than the Michigan win, not anything too crazy on that schedule, so this is a prove-it game, especially with Arch Manning and his first start. So it's already tough to go into an environment such as DKR as an away team. Now that you're doing it as Texas is, for the first time, ranked number 1, the pressure's even on ULM in this one, just now that Dylan, the eyes of the world are watching this game. But also, it's probably also freeing to a small degree. You're playing the number 1 team at DKR. You're going to play your heart out, and if you lose, for them, Dylan, so what? If they win, of course, they will be telling everybody about that for the rest of time, as I know we would as well. Now, Dylan, predictions, what are you going with here?
Yeah, I don't have a Tennessee, Kent State type of score prediction here, Devin, with Texas winning 110-0. But I have Texas winning this 45-6. I don't have them covering. I just feel like it's going to be a slower start than other games. Is kind of how I envision it. And if Jadon Blue can't go, you've got a heavy dose of Jarrett Gibson, Trey Wisner, right? Like guys like that getting worked in as Texas ultimately has failing on the word here, Devin. But with Arch
Words
Manning at
are
quarterback,
already usually tough, but yes,
listen, hey, I'm trying to stay calm under pressure right now as
you're
Devin
doing a
tries
good
to throw
job.
me off. Thank you. Yeah, with Arch Manning though, again, it's going to be a slower start. It's not the same. It's not the same without Ewers in the
Yes.
sense the playbook is different, the style is different, right? And you're going to see that to start the game, and then as time goes on, Manning's going to get more comfortable. Guys are going to be more open, or at least he's seeing it. And honestly, in all honesty, the defense is going to keep it, the lid shut for most of this game, so they're going to have that time to start the build. But I wouldn't expect an insane stat line after the first quarter or so. But as time goes on, for it to ramp up, that's why I've got this 45-6 rather than maybe 70-3. Devon.
Yeah, Dylan, I'm going to be curious to see in this one how Sark schemes for Arch Manning at quarterback. I know a lot of times he likes to start drives in the game specifically with a lot of short completions to get the quarterback confidence up. I would expect that to be even more so, probably the first couple throws for Arch being his first start. I'm sure the adrenaline's going to be there. He even mentioned it in the fact that it helped him on that run, Dylan, clocking faster than Tyreek Hill. So I'm sure the adrenaline for Arch must be more than the average human being, Dylan, if that's what he's accomplishing with adrenaline. So he's going to have a rocket for an arm, but expect Sark to wait at least a little bit before he utilizes that. But Dylan, funny enough, I don't think I've had the same score prediction as you in quite some time. I feel like years. I'm also going 45-6. Slight variation from my
Makes
score
sense.
prediction last weekend. I just don't know how that ULM offense is going to perform. It doesn't seem like they have the guy, as I mentioned, at the running back position. You've had a trio of guys take a fair share of snaps. Now, in the case of Texas, that would make sense because health has been of concern. For ULM, it just seems like no one offensively in total has really taken the keys to the Ferrari, Dylan, and just drove off with it. But for Texas, expect Arch to be able to throw quite often. Of course, you got Wingo, who's climbing up the charts still at wide receiver. However, he's still behind some guys, which is crazy to think. I mean, he could be number one probably for most schools already at this point. But you got Isaiah Bond still there, Matthew Golden, who maybe has been, I wouldn't say the surprise, Dylan, because I think when that transfer was announced, I thought of him as more than just a special teams player. I know a lot of people who watched Houston football would agree in the fact that they expected quite a bit, but he was known more for special teams, I would say, than solely just playing the wide receiver position. But he's been going off for Texas. And then Silas
Yeah.
Bolden, when he gets into the games, has been doing his thing too, Dylan. So he's got a variety of guys to target. And if you're Texas, Dylan, it's not an Arch Manning story. You want to see Trey Owens at some point in the game because that's when things are good, and that's when you can start playing the happy music, Dylan, and you can start celebrating on the sidelines and the stands. So I think this is going to be the sort of game where they can do that. Dylan also mentioned Jadon Blue. We're going to see what the status is for him and the running backs in general. Definitely something to watch out for. If I'm Sark, I'm trying to not run the football as much as I need to. Wait another week, kind of like you're waiting for Quinn Ewers to get more healthy over time. And we're mentioning Manning as if he's starting, Dylan. That would be the expectation. If I was Sark, I'd probably wait at least a week or two before you want to put him in the game. But there's a lot of health concerns. Overall, Dylan, gas pedal down, medical team off the field. That's the ideal scenario. I know we got a lot of hand gestures. Now, more importantly than our predictions, let us know what you think about this ULM versus Texas matchup. What's your score prediction? Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, have a great rest of your day.